They say the past doesn't knock twice. That when a chapter ends, it's gone. It's dead. Buried. Forgotten. But what happens when the past finds you in a church basement, sits in the last row, and looks at you like it remembers everything you tried to forget? This is not a love story that fits in neat little boxes. There are no fairy tales here. No glass slippers. No perfect endings. Just two broken people. One carrying the weight of a lie that nearly destroyed him. The other trying to live up to a name she didn't ask to inherit. He was once a high school basketball star, until another girl's lie turned his dream into a prison sentence. She was the daughter of the most powerful pastor in the city, raised in purity, prestige, and pressure. They weren't supposed to meet, weren't supposed to speak, weren't supposed to fall in love. But they did. And when they touched, they lit a fire that the church, the world, and even time itself could not contain. This is a story about love that defied reputation, about justice that came too late, and about two hearts learning that sometimes survival is the miracle. Her name is Maya. His name is Isaiah. And this is the story of the pastor's daughter and the ex-convict. In the basement of a church lit by flickering fluorescent lights, sat a man who didn't want to be seen, and a woman who couldn't help but notice him. Her name was Maya Henderson, daughter of Bishop Elijah Henderson, the most powerful voice in Redemption Tabernacle. She wasn't there to find love. She was there to volunteer, to check off a ministry box, to show compassion from a distance. But distance collapsed the moment she saw him. He sat at the back, tall, still, wrapped in a hoodie-like armor, not hiding, surviving. And while the other men avoided eye contact, he never looked up. Later, by the coffee table, he poured his drink, black. No cream. No sugar. She tried to break the silence with a joke. You don't take cream or sugar. I don't take anything I didn't earn. A line. A wall. A warning. But Maya was not the kind of woman who turned away from the dark. She stayed. Even when he said he wasn't good at small talk. Even when he walked away. She stayed. Because something in his silence felt louder than any sermon she'd ever heard. And though she didn't know it yet, she had just met Isaiah Brooks, the man who would shatter her world and change her forever. 2 weeks later, the man in the shadows had a name and a story that Maya would never forget. It started in a quiet room, a conversation held after hours, one of those rare moments where walls crumble and truth dares to step out. I was 17, he said. State champ. Shooting guard. Ivy League scouts were watching me like I was the next big thing. Maya listened, wide-eyed, breath caught. She was white, rich, powerful family. She came on to me. I said no. Next thing I knew, I was arrested mid-practice. Isaiah's voice cracked. But he didn't cry. He'd already done all the crying he had in him. No trial. They told me to take the plea. 7 years. Gone. My mom died before I got out. I missed my future, my scholarship, my whole damn life. He finally looked at her. And still, people look at me like I'm guilty. Maya's eyes filled. Not just with sorrow, but fury. How could someone carry so much pain and still speak like that? Still breathe like that? He didn't ask for pity. He didn't ask for anything. But in that moment, Maya gave him something no one had offered in a long time. Understanding. Love doesn't always arrive with poetry. Sometimes, it creeps in, between long silences and hesitant glances. By the 3rd week, Isaiah was still showing up late, but leaving even later. Maya began to wait for him, pretending she didn't notice. He began to talk more, pretending he wasn't hoping she would. One evening, they stood outside in the church parking lot. The sun had dipped, the sky turning to that indigo blue that feels like a secret. He spoke first. I used to dream about owning a gym, teaching kids how to stay out of prison, how to not end up like me. Maya turned to him. You're still young. You can still build that dream. He smiled, barely, but it was enough. She stepped closer. Their hands brushed. And for a second, the world didn't exist. Then she kissed him. Soft, fearful, certain. It lasted only a moment, but that moment was on fire. And from the upstairs church office, a shadow watched. Bishop Elijah Henderson. Father. Preacher. Protector of purity. He turned away from the window. His face was tight with fury, because in his eyes, his daughter had just kissed a mistake. And God wouldn't be enough to stop what came next. The house behind Redemption Tabernacle was not a home that welcomed disobedience. That night, Maya sat across from her father, Bishop Elijah Henderson, pastor to thousands, gatekeeper to her future, and now her judge. You kissed a felon, he said. A convict. A liar. That's what you've chosen. Maya stood her ground, but her voice trembled. His name is Isaiah. And he didn't do what they said. Her father slammed his hand against the desk. It's not about what he did. It's about what he is. And what he'll turn you into. But Maya wasn't a little girl anymore. Maybe. I don't want to be what you made me. She walked out that night. Left the house. Left the legacy. But she couldn't leave the whispers. By morning, the church board was in a frenzy. By Sunday, Bishop Henderson had rewritten his sermon. And as Maya sat in the pew, he looked out over the congregation and said, Beware of wolves in sheep's clothing. The enemy doesn't always come dressed in sin. Sometimes, he comes wearing sympathy. No names. But every pair of eyes turned to her. She stood up and walked out, not in shame, but in truth. My name is Claire Donnelly. And I lied. The confession came from a blurry screen, a tear-stained face, a shaky camera, but the truth was crystal clear. I was angry. Isaiah rejected me, and I told the school he assaulted me. He didn't. He never touched me, but I needed someone to blame, and I chose him. The internet caught fire. Claire's name spread across every platform. #Justice for Isaiah exploded overnight. Maya sat on the edge of her bed, frozen, eyes wide, heart shattering for the boy who lost everything. Isaiah had told the truth all along. And now, the world finally believed him. But she couldn't reach him. He didn't answer her messages. He didn't return to the re-entry center. She found him the next night, sitting alone on a set of rusted bleachers. A streetlight buzzed above them, casting soft orange over his shoulders. He looked empty. I saw the video, she whispered. He nodded. 8 years too late. She sat beside him. You're free now. He laughed bitterly. Free? What do I do with freedom after they stole my future? What do I do with the pain that made me who I am? Maya reached for his hand. You build something new. With what? With what's left. They sat in silence until dawn. No promises. No plans. Just two hearts, trying to survive the truth. The world had changed, but Isaiah hadn't. News channels invited him to speak. Activists called him a symbol. But Isaiah didn't want to be a movement. He just wanted peace. And peace wasn't easy to find. He and Maya tried. They shared long nights. They cooked in silence. They laughed at old movies. But the space between them kept growing. I don't know who I am, he told her one night. I was a kid when they locked me up. Now I'm a man, but I'm stuck somewhere between prisoner and prophet. Maya cried silently. Then let's find out who you are Together. He looked at her. And what about your father? Your ministry? You gave all that up for me. She smiled sadly. I gave it up for me. Still, the weight was too much. Their love had been forged in trauma, born in fire. But not everything born in fire survives the rain. They parted one morning. No yelling. No drama. Just quiet understanding. I'll always love you, she said. And I'll never stop thanking you, he whispered. 2 weeks later, Isaiah left for Maryland. A job coaching basketball at a high school. Maya stayed. She joined a non-profit. Began speaking. Began healing. They didn't speak again. Not for 3 years. But their story was far from over. 3 years passed. Time didn't erase what happened, but it softened the edges. In Baltimore, a new crowd gathered. The Youth Empowerment and Legacy Conference, a celebration of second chances. Teenagers in matching polos filled a crowded gym. Future leaders, mentors, dreamers. And among them stood a tall man in a fitted blazer, clipboard in hand. Isaiah Brooks. Not the boy from the past. Not the victim. A coach. A leader. A builder. Coach, they said we got third row. One of the boys shouted. Then act like you earned it, Isaiah smiled. He turned and froze. Across the room. A name echoed over the loudspeaker. Please welcome keynote panelist, Maya Henderson. The world tilted. There she was, walking onto the stage, radiant in navy blue. Her voice, calm. Her presence, electric. Isaiah's chest tightened. 3 years. And still, his heart remembered. They didn't rush to speak. That evening, in the hotel lobby, Isaiah and Maya locked eyes. And time paused. No need for apologies. No need for explanations. Just presence. They walked to the harbor, a bench beneath the soft light of street lamps. The water reflected the past. And the silence held what they couldn't say out loud. I wasn't sure if it was really you, Maya finally said. I wasn't sure you'd want it to be, Isaiah replied. They laughed. Different people now. Older. Stronger. But somehow, still the same. Are you happy? She asked. He thought. Some days. I think I'm learning how. Me too, she whispered. The pause between them was deep. Are you with anyone? He asked gently. No. You. No. She turned to him. I still love you. He closed his eyes. I love you too. But love isn't always enough. Not when time and trauma rewrite the script. Maybe we weren't meant to end together, he said. Maybe we were meant to save each other. They didn't kiss. They didn't cry. They just sat. 2 hearts in quiet reverence. Thankful. The final morning of the conference came with sunlight slanting through the high windows. Isaiah stood at the back of the hall, arms crossed. His students laughed beside him. He wasn't watching the stage. He was watching her. Maya stepped to the podium, strong, poised. Her keynote was titled, What We Carry, and What We Leave Behind. She spoke of scars that don't show, of injustice that doesn't fade, of love that can't always last. There was once a boy, she said, born to run toward greatness. But life and lies took that from him. Still he rose, not to become famous, but to become something better. A mirror. Isaiah felt a tear slide down his cheek, not for what they had lost, but for what they had given each other. After the crowd thinned, Maya stood near the exit. He approached slowly. They didn't say much. She leaned in and whispered, If this were a different world. He smiled softly. But it's not. And that was okay. She walked away, into sunlight. Her silhouette, glowing. Not with regret, but with release. He stood alone. but not empty. Because even without a happy ending, some love stories still matter. He would remember her voice, her bravery, her belief in him. She would remember his silence, his strength, his unwavering truth. Some love stories aren't meant to be lived forever, but they live long enough to change everything. They never got married. They didn't build a life together in the way stories often promise. But that's not the only way to love. Isaiah built his gym. Every week, he showed up for boys who reminded him of who he used to be. He taught them how to move, not just on the court, but through life. How to rise, even when the system tries to bury you. Maya traveled the country, telling stories, building shelters, speaking truth to power. She never stopped believing in grace. And she never stopped believing in him. They would cross paths again. At conferences, fundraisers, sometimes just in memory. And each time they'd smile. Not because they were lovers, but because they had loved. And survived. Love doesn't always end in rings and ribbons. Sometimes, it ends in legacy. In light left behind. And for Maya and Isaiah, their story wasn't defined by what they lost, but by what they gave. To each other, and to a world that tried to silence them. Because sometimes, the best kind of love is the one that teaches us how to live. If this story moved you, please like, share, comment and subscribe to this channel for more unequal love stories of forbidden love and unstoppable truth. Thank you for viewing.